we have here but a wonderful 2018 Jaguar F Type R. That's right, it's a vehicle that I recently purchased because it is just so good. I feel compelled to share with you guys and do a full review on this great model because I believe it is underlooked by many enthusiasts. And for those who really enjoy the drive, I'll have you know there is almost nothing better than an F-Type. And not only that, the value is absolutely immense. So I'm going to walk you through what this whole car looks like, some of the features, how it drives, some of the performance statistics, and you might find yourself a little bit enlightened, maybe even to the point of possibly buying one for yourself. Let's get into it now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. But before we get started on some of the great exterior details, I should let you know that you can have yourself a great, as an example, 2018 Jaguar F Type R like this for just over 50% of its original MSRP. As you go to 2017, you can get it even cheaper yet. Now, cheap and low cost don't necessarily coincide. As a matter of fact, it's not a cheap car, but it is low cost, and it's depreciation that hits these very, very hard. But that's great for the buyer, for you guys out there. Let's start by saying lots of great accents and detail. Let's start with the exterior. You'll notice the flashing LED signal light in the shape of a J, not an accident, for Jaguar. So that's great touch up there. Then we look at the back of the car. You've got LED taillights back here as well, and more LEDs here as well in the mirror. Another cool little thing that you'll notice about these Jags is they're splattered everywhere. Not only do you have Jaguar written here, but you've got it written as well here on the door handle, here on the back deck lid, as well as here on the brake caliper, and you get these nice little wonderful fillers here for your rims on all four wheels. Let's also not forget about the big kitty on the front grille and the R symbol over here and on the back of the car. But I should also point out to you the roof comes in 3 different configurations in the F-Type. You can either get the standard painted roof, or you can get the glass roof, which is middle of the road, like you see here. Now, I have to warn you, it isn't entirely one large glass sheet, and just so happens it costs about $7,000 to $8,000 should you wreck this. Often, many insurance companies don't even include this in some of their policies, so make sure you check in on that and be sure to cover these cars of glass if you do buy this. And the top of the line is some cars come featured with the carbon fiber roof. So there's 3 different options. So let's take a look at another trick that I love with these cars. You've got the key fob. Of course, you've got the mirror and the door handle. When you press lock on there, door handle goes shaved and the mirror closes off. Gives you sort of a better security feel. Now, with this in my pocket, I can go up here as well. Here's another trick, and it opens itself. Do that, and it locks. As long as I've got this, if I don't have the key, it won't work like that. So I should also point out this black plastic. Looks like another piece of trim like everything else on a car, but in fact, it's regulated to have that because the tires spit off a certain amount of rocks. There's a lot of tire and grit that can come off the backside of these massive rear tires. And another one of my most favorite party tricks on this car is this. Just like that. How many cars do you see that do this? And since we've got the hood open, let's talk about what is inside the heart of the beast. Here we have a massive supercharger strapped on top of a 5-liter 302 cubic inch V8 engine that produces 550 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. That's right, eat your heart out, Lexus. You'll never see an engine like this inside one of those cars. So I'm going to walk you guys through a few of the little trick parts on the inside of the car now. As you'll notice here, you've got the heartbeat on the start-stop button, waiting for it to go, just telling you it's alive. These cars also have a full touchscreen system, although the newer cars are a little bit improved where it runs the full width. These are just fine. They work fine, and they do the trick. Full navigation, stereo, and the whole like. So there's a couple of things that aren't very good on the inside of these cars. One of them is this Meridian sound system. It's supposed to be top shelf sound audio system, but to be honest with you, doesn't work all that well. It is Wi-Fi, hi-fi, whatever you want to call it, but it just doesn't belt out the tunes. Here you have the full seat controls on the door panel. You have unlock and lock. Of course, you have all the different controls and 3 presets. Lots of different functionality on each seat, and you can do that as well on the passenger side there as well. Another thing that isn't that great is these, and that's your heater controls. As you can see, it's very difficult to see the blue and the red. AC, that's cooled seat, and this is your heated seat. And then, of course, you can notice if you've got some glare on there, you can't even see what it's saying half the time. So I find these a little bit challenging, but besides that, these controls here are very, very nice. You have controls for your auto air conditioning system, recirc, front window defrost and rear defrost, and max defrost, of course, when things get really nasty. What we have here is an 8-speed automatic transmission, and you can do one of two things. You can either switch it over to sport mode, pushing it left, or you can just leave it in this mode and utilize your paddle shifters right here. So there's a few controls going on down here. Number one here is to open up your exhaust baffles. By pressing just this, it opens above 1500 RPM when you're driving along. If it's at idle, it stays quiet, but once you exceed 1500 RPM, typically, then it opens up to full noise. This here is to raise your wing for maintenance if you want to do a little cleaning. This here is your auto shut off. I always turn that off. That's a pain in the ass. And here is basically your traction control. Here is your brake. That's your park brake. And here we have our fun button. Up here you have the snowflake. You push that, and then you essentially get conditions that will retract the power. It holds the power back just enough so it's not as aggressive and punchy, and it keeps the car a little bit more tractable when the roads get a little slick. You can turn that off again, and this is the mode you want. This is your dynamic mode. When you activate that, listen to the exhaust. Once you activate that, it essentially opens up the exhaust baffles right from idle. So it does a better thing that way. It also makes the urgency of the throttle response a little better. Gear changes are optimal. Everything is at its finest. But the most important thing is the sound effects you get when you're in that mode. Dynamic mode is a beast. Also, it does this other thing to the gauges. Check it out. You'll notice the gauges are red now, and that has to do with because it's in dynamic mode. We switch that off, and you'll notice it goes back to white mode. So that's essentially the difference on your gauges. So before we go on a quick drive, I want to show you a few other high-level things. Some of which is you actually have mood lighting that illuminates in this area and here. Now it's daylight, so it's kind of hard to see. But you'll notice if I switch, this is part of an area that also gets illuminated. So if I turn a light on, you'll find you can see that light down there. On, off, on, off. So mood lighting all throughout the cabin. It's just a nice little touch as well, and you can change the colors. There's about a handful of colors you can change. As well as the overall interior is just high quality. You've essentially got, leather fit and finish over here. You've got nice high quality materials here. Leather steering wheel, and even the dash is all covered in leather. Let's also not forget the fact that they're cooled. Of course, they're ventilated, so they're cooled and heated seats, being a 2018 model year. And then if you look up here, you have a leather embossed headrest that says R on it. This aluminum insert that says Jaguar right there. The overall feel of the interior is high quality throughout. Beautiful place to be. You have that smell that smells like a brand new Gucci purse. Again, eat your heart out, Lexus. And a couple of other little tricks. You got this nice little electric button. Pops that open. And as well, you've got this. Have you ever seen that trick? When you turn your heater controls on, press that in, and you'll see that start to rise. Turn that off, and it goes back down. So cool little tricks throughout. But let's talk about the driving experience. So one thing I'll say first off is the car, for a luxury Jaguar, you would think that it would be a lot more soft. But in reality, when you're actually driving down the road, you'll find it to be very borderline harsh, if you will. You can feel that bump, right? And these roads in Edmonton here where we live are not very good, but this just exaggerates that fact. The roads are horrible and the car really lets you know it. I find this car really does bang around on the bumps quite a bit, but it's a good thing when you're looking for that planted and that compliant handling on a racetrack. This car is more than capable. There's no question that the grip is there because of the size of the rear tires, as well as just the sheer flex of the suspension is minimal. So in other words, there's very little squatting, very little roll. This car actually just sticks to the road and stays very, very flat. One thing I would say is regarding the steering. Of course, as I turn the steering wheel, you'll notice it's very, very easy. If anything, I think the steering is just a little bit too soft for my liking, to be honest. I find the steering a little over-assisted, but it does a great job. Like the car itself transmits very well. And when you turn the wheel, I mean, it's all very direct. It's very positive steering. It works very, very well. Just a little bit over boosted in my opinion. But again, it's great for most applications, and for most people who daily drive these, it does an exceptional job of that. Now, the one thing in dynamic mode you'll find It makes some of the best exhaust sounds anywhere this side of a stock exhaust system. There's really nothing factory that sounds this good. Sure, you can replicate it by putting on some cat bypass systems with open muffler or muffler delete, and you can make some cars sound equally good, but nothing sounds as good out of factory. Listen. Whoa, whoa, and it goes too. So that's the other point of contention when you're driving this Jaguar. Do you know with 550 horsepower that's propelling this car through all-wheel drive does allow it to launch from 0 to 60 mile per hour in a scant 3.6 seconds. Yes, and it'll actually do 199 miles per hour. Now, if you want to crack that 200 mile per hour barrier, you might have to look at the SVR. But to be honest, the SVR is a whole lot more money, and you're getting a fancier exhaust system and 25 horsepower more and a wee bit weight shedding. But to be honest, I'm not sure the value is there. The SVR is a wonderful car, but bang for your buck, there's no question the Jag F Type R is the car you want. Now, the beauty with these F Types is you can get a whole different bunch of variations. We already spoke of the SVR, which is 575 horsepower out of the box through all-wheel drive, and it essentially is the same engine. But you can also get the old V8S, you can get V6 models, and you can also get a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. So there's a whole host of different models and years and engine configurations if you like the car in general. But if you want to really go and you want that performance, the R and the SVR are the way to go. Now, are there any other cars in the class? Sure, there's a lot of other great cars out there, but the Jaguar F Type is so unique and bears so much resemblance to the Aston Martins that it catches so many eyes. I find myself as driving around constantly, there's people either waving or thumbs up or just, looking. It catches a lot of eyes. And if you don't want to be seen, maybe this isn't your car. Maybe you go for that Lexus if you just want to hide in incognito. But if you want to be seen and you want to drive a car that's fast and furious, this is your car. So then we speak of value. Of course, what's the value proposition? Now, at $130,000 MSRP for this car, brand new in Canadian funds, it is not an inexpensive car by any means. It's actually quite pricey, to be honest with you. But the beauty is you can find yourself in 2017 and 18 model years now for as little as $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, which is, 50 to 60% of its original MSRP after 2 to 3 years. So you couple that with a CPO warranty that maybe you only have to throw another $2,000 at it, and you can wind up with another 2 or 3 years warranty, and you can get a 2018 like this one with 4 years warranty on it for in the mid 70s. And honestly, it is literally one of the most aggressive sounding, looking, best performing supercars on the planet this side of $150,000. There is nothing like it. The car is exceptional on every plane. It sounds the part, it goes the part, it looks the part, and honestly, it is comfortable. You can drive it in winter weather, you can drive it in summer, you can drive it any time of the year. You've got all bases covered. Only thing what I would suggest is if you're going to drive it in the winter, put on some winter skins, because P0s are not your best tire of choice if you want to keep the car between the lanes. Other than that, this car can handle almost anything you can throw at it. It is an exceptional buy and one of the best performance cars on the planet today. And because it's just so great, I decided to buy one for myself. And that's why I feature it over on my vlog channel. Watch, find out why I bought this over many other great cars on the market. Be sure to subscribe while you're over there, and I hope to see you real soon, guys. Catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye. The rest of the car just looks so darn great that I don't...